G'day guys, welcome to today's video. So from the title, as you've no doubt read, I am doing an unbox and build of the Team Associated RC10T Classic. So this is a re-release of the original Team Associated stadium truck that came out in the early 90s. Very early 90s, I should say, and I'm actually quite eager to get into this. And I actually pre-ordered this kit, and I have to admit, I guess you could say I'm very fortunate to actually get one. From what I've been reading and seeing on the internet, for some reason, in Team Associated's wisdom, apparently there wasn't a lot of kits exported overseas out of the US, and basically it was a kind of, when it came to pre-ordering, it was basically first in, first served sort of thing, and even then you may not even get it. Don't quote me on it, but that's what I've read and been told. So I am very fortunate to get one of these kits, and I am eagerly looking forward to it. And this kit, when it came up for pre-order, most kits, I will think about it, procrastinate about it for a bit, thinking, do I want one? Do I need one? Blah, blah, blah. Honestly, this is probably the only kit where I virtually pimp slapped the pre-order button. I didn't think about it. I thought, I want one of these. I'm going to get one of these. So, without any more flap my gums, let's go over to the workbench and let's have a look at it. So here it is, guys. The RC10T Classic. So, if you are unfamiliar with what this is a re-release of the original RC10T. So this isn't like old new stock or whatever. This is a reproduction of the original that came out. Now, for clarification, I actually cut the seals and had a look inside it first, not because I was too excited, but to make sure that everything was in the box. So what we'll do is we will flip it open and make sure I don't bump the lights. So what you get in here is everything to make a rolling chassis. So we have a look here. We have our transmission parts, and there's some grease included. Now, before I continue on any further, I want to also let you all know that I don't know why, but Team Associated decided to go with bushings instead of ball bearings. I don't know why. I think they're trying, I don't know if it was to cut costs or more for nostalgia. I do have a bearing kit coming for this. It should be on its way, should be here soon. But yeah, it comes with bushings and not bearings. So it's transmission parts. Here we have suspension parts, and looks like, yeah, that's just suspension parts, and shock absorber, shock towers. That's rear suspension. Here we have front suspension parts and the front plate for the main chassis. Here we have the shock absorbers. Now, if you are familiar with Team Associated and their re-releases, I myself have a RC10 Worlds re-release buggy. It came with their threaded big bore shocks that come with on the, I think it was like the B5, B6 series of buggies and so forth. Team Associated have opted to do the original shocks, so they are not threaded. They are the old clamp shock spring collar, where you have to manually move it up and down and clamp it to adjust your preload on the shocks. So that's that setup there. Here we have some of the steering setup, servo saver, battery cradle. Looks like some more body posts. That's what we've got there. Oh. Here we have my most hated part of kit building, the turnbuckles. Now the body is clear. We have our wheels and tires. Now this kit comes with the narrow front wheels and tires included in the kit, and as you can see, these are a beadlock style wheel. Here we have the RC10T chassis, and it's got the anniversary stickers on it and so forth. Down here we have the instruction manuals, sticker sheets, and all the other good stuff. Some looks like servo mounts. Now, like I said, with this kit, everything you see here in the box allows you to make an unassembled kit, or allows you to make a rolling chassis rather. And what that means, to complete it, you will need a motor, ESC. You'll also need a motor pinion. I'm pretty sure it comes with a spur gear. If not, you will need to supply a spur gear. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, motor, pinion, electronic speed controller. You'll need a steering servo. You will also need your own radio system, so a receiver. You will also need paint for the body, and also a battery. So, well, how about that? Spur gear. Alright, so it comes with a spur gear. That's clear. We've got that clarified. And it comes with a few simple tools to assemble it. But I will be using my own fancy tools. And by the looks of things, I'm going to assume that, like the original RC10T kit, all the hardware is Imperial or standard. It is not metric, so you will need Imperial tools to assemble it. So what we're going to do now, guys, well, first, before I set up the time lapse, because this is how I do it, what I'm going to do is, normally with these unbox and builds, is I will build the majority of the chassis. I'll do the painting and all that sort of stuff off camera and then do the reveal. I am a bit not too sure yet what sort of motor and speed controller I'm going to put into this, so what I will do is I will build the chassis and then I will put in the motor and ESC off camera, and I will paint this off camera as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up the camera for time lapse, and let's get on with building this thing. Well guys, the truck is built, it is painted, all the electronics are installed, and I'm actually glad that as I mentioned earlier in the video, that I would build the chassis and then decide on electronics later off camera. I had some issues. I will get into it in a moment, but I had some issues with some of the electronics that I wanted to use, and so I had to go about finding alternatives. So rather than just standing here flapping my gums as always, let's just go straight to the workbench and have a look at the completed truck. And here it is, guys, all built, painted, stickered up. So it was a pretty good build, and with the painting I was of two minds of how to go about it. I can do some quite fancy paint schemes. However, I decided to go against that and do something simple. It's a bit difficult to see this side of the truck at the moment because I have this light here, and I have, actually if I bring that across it might make it a little bit better. Probably not a lot, no. So yeah, I've got about putting some lighting in just to brighten up the workbench a little bit. But if I move it across here, as you can see, I decided to go with a bit of a retro paint scheme because obviously this is a vintage truck. And in the 80s and 90s, the paint drip, paint splatter theme was quite popular. If I bring it around this side here, if we can see it a little bit better. Yeah, it was a fairly popular kind of paint scheme, and so I decided to do something a little bit retro and keep it simple without, because as a lot of the modern cars and trucks today, you know, they got real outlandish paint schemes and that on them. So yeah, I decided to keep it simple, and I like the way it turned out. It's the main color is Tamiya iridescent purple green color shift, and I have Proline candy apple red for the paint splatter on the sides and that. How I did that was with I have a Cricut vinyl cutter, and just downloaded a simple what do they call it, clip art, and just adjusted it for the width and length and that for the sides and so forth, as you can see. So just kept just a simple paint scheme, nothing too outlandish. But what we'll do is we'll take the body off and have a look under the, you know, pop the hood, as they say. So here it is without any electronic, without the shell on. So like I said, I had some issues choosing electronics. I wanted to keep with the vintage / retro theme, and I was going to use my Novak GTB brushless speed controller, because as those who have been with RC for a very long time will know that Novak was a very, very popular electronics company back in the day. Like, they made motors, speed controllers, servos, radio receivers, and they're a company that no longer exists. So I wanted to use that. However, every time I would flick the switch on, I kid you not, when I would, like, for instance, hold the battery leads, I would feel a clunking noise go through the like, you can actually, like, a current clunking through the actual power leads, and so I didn't like that, and I was frightened that something was going to blow up or whatever. So I'm like, I got it and yeeted it out. I did contemplate going the brushed route. I was going to put a brushed speed controller in, and I have an old Reedy 27 turn motor that I used to race with back in the day. I was going to use that, but I decided, I had this laying about. It is a Team Wave brushless speed controller and a Team Wave 17.5 turn brushless motor. So I've gone that way. Steering servo, I have a Power HD Storm S15 low profile digital servo. It's probably overkill for this truck, but it was actually given to me by a mate, and he said he had a few issues with it, but it seems to be working fine. So that is for steering. I have an old IP 3800 LiPo battery. Because this has a Dean's connector on it, I had some 1UP Racing plugs and and that laying about, so I just made a simple adapter. I may later on just put the plugs onto the main lead here, but for the time being that will suffice. Now for the radio system, I am using my old, it's not old, but my old Futaba 3PV. I know some of you who have been following the channel for a while probably thinking, well, hang on a sec, don't you have a 10PX? Yes, I do. However, for all my vintage cars, I'm going to be running them on my 3PV, and like I've got another 4 of these antennaless receivers laying about, so no point letting them go to waste. And so I built this kit as the instructions, as per instructions, and its kit setup. The build went together really well. Probably the only thing that I had a bit of an issue with was with the chassis rails here. Well, not the actual chassis rails, but with the front shock tower. I'll just move this over here. It's probably a bit hard to see. If I got anything to, I'll just use, no, I won't use that one, I'll use this one. So right where, as you can see here, where the chassis rail here goes through the shock tower, and you can see here how the bolt goes through. So you got this bolt here that that screws onto, goes through the shock tower and bolts onto here, and the same for the other side as well. What I had a problem with, when they obviously it's the shock towers are cut out on a CNC machine, so obviously they're laying flat, and the machine, like the router bit, goes through and cuts out all the holes. That's all very fine and dandy. The problem is, because it's flat, the angles are, I guess you could say, right angles. The issue is, as you can see, the shock tower leans back. So when I would try to put the screw in here for the chassis, for this chassis rail, it was actually hitting on the shock tower, and I couldn't push it down to have the bolt go through. So what I ended up having to do is with my Dremel tool, I just had to shave a bit of material away on the shock tower there, just so, because obviously the hole was like that, so I had to shave a bit so it was flat like that, so that way the chassis rail could go through the shock tower without fouling on the bottom part there. Other than that, it went together really well. The other cool thing too, those of you who have run Associated cars over the years will know that with the ball diff, with the thrust bearing to adjust the tension on the ball diff, you had to assemble the thrust bearing. You don't have to do that anymore with this. They've obviously updated it, and you don't have to worry about the 5 little thrust bearing balls flying all over the place, or having to use real sticky grease to hold them together so you could get it inside through the diff. They've done away with that, so that's a plus. One thing I have done is it comes with this funny fibrous stuff to be spacers for the dog bones. I have gotten fuel tube in there. I don't know if you can see the orange fuel tube in there, and in there as well. But you can probably just see the fuel tube in there. Didn't use the stuff that they supplied, I just used some fuel tube just to keep the dog bones in place. I am, however, probably not going to use this spur gear. I'll be changing it to a smaller one because I'm running a 17.5 motor. Now, for the record too, guys, I will not be running this on the included wheels and tires. I will keep these for, I guess you could say, shelf queen purposes. I don't want to use these. I have some J Concepts wheels coming for it. They are, you can still buy J Concepts wheels that will suit the 10T. So they're coming, and I'll be using those with some more modern tires, because let's face it, I mean, these were good back in the 80s and 90s when off-road tracks were really proper off-road tracks. It was loamy dirt and so forth. However, that isn't the case anymore. It's especially my local track, it's hard packed clay, so these will be useless. So I will not be using these wheels and tires. So the next, I guess the obvious question is, when am I going to be running this? As soon as I get the wheels and tires for it, I will be using it. And yeah, it'll be till then. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. If you have any questions about it, any questions about the build, electronics, anything like that, don't hesitate to drop a comment. I will do my best to respond to your comments. And until then, guys, enjoy your hobby and cheers.